Alright, Theory and Theology, welcome back. I'm recording a little bit earlier tonight because last night was really hard for me to record. Pretty late. I was falling asleep, but I'm not going to talk about all the specific details like I did in yesterday's episode. I'm going to keep those to myself, but again, a very similar day, other than the fact that everything got pushed back a little later up until, I guess, about the noon prayer time. Everything was pushed later. Just because of, I really had a lot of trouble sleeping last night. I woke up around 1:45 a.m. or something and couldn't get back to sleep till probably, I didn't look at the clock, but I want to say sometime between maybe 4:45 a.m. and like 5 something a.m. I woke up around maybe 7:40 a.m. because I did go back to sleep. And there was a time that I did dream sometime before like 5 a.m. or so. But it's weird. I don't like remember sleeping, but I did dream. So I kind of had some weird dreams last night that didn't really seem to have much significance. One of them was about some family members, and some kind of cabin or something that I was either visiting, or it was kind of like crammed but really cozy, like cottage style, but the beds were like, kind of wooden cot type beds with like wooden frames and like some cozy blankets. It was mostly like blankets and very limited walking space, and kind of like cabin style, like old school cottage cabin style, with like some little steps to go to like some of the different rooms. And there was some kind of conflict with these family members. I don't remember what it was. Like they were arguing, or maybe I had remembered that there was some kind of conflict. Like it wasn't an event that fully existed in real life. But that's the kind of weird dream that I had near like 5 a.m. when I was like, I've been awake all this time. Like at a certain point when I was still awake, I was like, screw this, I'm just gonna kind of do like save the job applications I want to work on. Like I didn't even really care. I was like, I'm just gonna save job applications. So I was kind of just online and watching stuff, and because I felt like I could sleep, but I feel like I wasn't really falling asleep. And then I do just remember having like a dream, so I was like, well, I must have slept because I dreamt. So, but I don't really think it was any real significance. And then sometime when I slept after like 5 a.m. or so, I had another dream before I woke up at like 7:40 or so, where one of my friends from San Diego was moving or leaving. And this isn't somebody that I'm like super close to. Like I like them, I don't have any problem with them, we're friends. But in the dream I was like in tears because they were moving, and I was just kind of a little surprised by it. So it's like both of those dreams were kind of not, they weren't bad dreams, but they weren't like easygoing dreams necessarily. Like I didn't really, in the dreams I was like having some kind of emotion that wasn't necessarily like happiness, but there was just a lot of emotion in those dreams. But when I woke up, I didn't feel like bothered by it. I did have a dream on like Saturday, I don't know if it was Friday night or Saturday night, one of those nights, that I was actually bothered by the dream. But these dreams, I wasn't bothered by them. And I mentioned melatonin, lemon balm extract. There are certain supplements that I noticed that when I take them, my dreams are more pleasant, and when I don't take them, my dreams are kind of more along this like I don't feel like it's a nightmare, but when I'm explaining it, it's like it's not happy, right? Like crying because a friend is leaving, or like being in some kind of cottage and there's some tension because of either a history of a family conflict, or maybe it was going on right then, or maybe it was like a memory, I don't even know. But just like the settings and the kind of like relationship, the relationships were kind of strained, I guess, somewhat, even though they were like on different levels. It was just like we weren't like going to a party or going and having fun or like enjoying time together. It was more like, in both dreams, it was kind of like either like a partying, like departing kind of thing, or like learning that we were gonna have to like part ways, or knowing or remembering or learning that there was some kind of tension going on between people, and it was just kind of tense, just kind of walking on eggshells kind of feeling. And again, none of this was real. This isn't like based in any reality. This friend that I have, even if they did move, I don't think I'd cry about it. Like, I'm not even trying to be mean. I'm just saying, like, we don't hang out that much. I've seen them twice in the last maybe 2 to 3 years. Like, we usually hang out on their birthday, and that's just about it. And I couldn't make it to their birthday last in 2023, but they made it in early 2024 to one of my other friends' birthdays, so we did get to catch up. And then before that, I wasn't able to make it to their 2022 birthday, but I think I made it to their 2021 birthday, or maybe I made it in 2022. I don't even remember. It's been so long ago. But I pretty much hadn't seen them at least since 2022, if not 2021, up until I saw them like near MLK Day in 2024. So we have good memories and stuff. We're cool. Like, we stay in touch enough that we still try to like at least connect once a year, and I like them. And but I really don't know if I'm so used to people leaving with the San Diego situation. Like, it's so expensive. It's very common that people leave, and I'm not saying I'm just like jaded to it, but I'm not, like, I wouldn't be surprised if anyone I knew moved. And there's certain people that I feel like a deeper connection to. This person, I feel like we're cool. I really like them a lot, but I don't think I would be as upset as I was in this dream if they were leaving. But I don't know, like, maybe it was like a representation of like all the people who move. I have no idea, because it is pretty upsetting, you know, the amount of close friends I've made that have had to move because of, you know, just the outrageous cost of living, and having to decide, not even that they can't afford it, but that they decide not to afford it because they have to think about their future and savings and just quality of life. Like, a lot of my friends have moved because they just want more money to do stuff. They want more money to be flexible with. They want to save more, and they want to invest more. I understand that, you know, they want to have a partner and like live and get a house and all this kind of stuff. Like, most of my friends cannot do that if they're living in San Diego. And I've mentioned before, most of my friends in San Diego have master's degrees, you know, have been working for a really long time. And for people to not be able to get work, or work that, you know, you can see yourself kind of moving up after like 5 years, 10 years, a lot of people just have to make that decision. And I totally understand it. And I would say overall it is upsetting as a whole for like everyone I've known who's moved, or everyone I've known who's thinking about moving, or just how I had to uproot and like, you know, kind of leave parts of a life that there were parts that weren't great, that definitely needed to change, but there were parts in my social life that were pretty much as perfect as it could have gotten, as far as my connections with most of the people that I learned to love. And so getting uprooted like that, or having to make that decision was, I'd say it threw me, it was pretty traumatic, and it's taken a lot to adjust to, and it's definitely been a loss. I feel like a loss. There was a phase of grieving, and I've coped with it plenty, but I'm still from time to time coping with it, and so maybe that's what that dream was about. That would make more sense than me being very upset about this one person leaving, but I don't really know. Because I was really upset about this one person leaving, and I'm like, whoa. Like, when I woke up, I was like, that's interesting that I was so upset. But, yeah, like, my dreams, I was having dreams, but, like, early this morning, and then, like I said, I'm not going to get into all the details, but you can already tell that's how my morning was starting if I wasn't even getting up till like 7:40 a.m. That's when I started the cooking process and everything, and then kind of decided to rest more. And I was like, I'll start my day around noon, got into the prayers around then, and then just kind of went on with my day, and I guess it's now technically Eid. It's Eid, right? Eid al-Fitr. I'm learning. I'm not good at pronunciations. I still don't even know what that day is all about, but I guess it goes from this Tuesday sundown, which for my time in LA was 7:20 p.m. until, I'm guessing, sundown on Wednesday, which in my area is going to be, what time? 7:21 p.m. tomorrow, Wednesday night. So I'm guessing that's when it ends. Don't take my word for it. I'm going to need to double check, because I don't think I really looked into that. I don't even know what is supposed to be happening. I was listening to this guy that was talking about, eating with family and spending time and doing a certain amount of prayers and eating, and I don't know. But I kind of wanted to touch on something, about the significance of dreams, how it's kind of, like, today I was kind of thinking about this whole process of, like, attempting fasting, as well as, like, trying all these different praying times. Like, I've set alarms for them, and some of the stuff I've kind of made up, I've, like, made up the times, because I'm not used to this. Somehow I thought it would be easier. Because it's like, oh, okay, there's just an alarm, just start doing it, I thought it would just be easier. It's like, okay, the alarm goes off. I didn't realize how hard it would be, how easily I would be able to still get a distraction. That was a little surprising to me, because I'm like, the alarm goes off, or like, I was watching YouTube today, just watching YouTube, chilling, taking a break from this educational kind of task I was involved with, related to, like, this resume building class or seminar that I'm kind of doing online, and the alarm just goes off. I'm in the middle of watching, like, some comedy, and the alarm goes off, and I'm like, oh yeah, time to pray, and I just kind of on the fly decided what to choose. But then there have been other times where it's like I'm either like my sleep schedule is throwing me off, or just my energy levels throwing me off, or it's like yesterday I was like literally in the shower at the time when my alarm went off, so I was a few minutes late, or like I decide to like be in the middle of another task, and then I can't like do it right away, and then I'm like, oh shoot, like I was gonna do this prayer, and like I got caught up in like I was literally taking the laundry out of the washer, and I was gonna go hang up some stuff to dry, and then it's like for example, I don't know if this really happened, but say if that was happening and the alarm goes off, and instead of just like doing the prayer, I go and start putting the laundry out, and the next thing I know, I've forgotten that the alarm kind of went off a few minutes back, so I'm a few minutes off now. And just like how easily it is to get distracted even though an alarm goes off, it's like I don't have like the call to prayer set up or anything like that. I probably won't do that, but because for me, I'm not Muslim, and I've kind of talked about this, but I'm not Muslim. There's a lot of respect to have for the Quran, and there's a lot about the Quran that I'm learning. There's a lot about it that I appreciate, but I did not grow up with that kind of tradition or the knowledge, and so I don't want to just be like, okay, I'm just gonna like start saying all these things and taking them on if I'm not fully there. Like, I barely watched my first documentary ever about Muhammad on Saturday, and I don't know if I think he's a prophet. I don't know if I don't think he's a prophet. I don't really have an opinion on it, really. It's just, I know, obviously, people who are Muslims believe he's a prophet, and that's part of the prayer, I believe, right? That, like, saying that, like, that there's a belief in God, and Muhammad is his prophet, and I don't know what I think about that. I just don't know. I'm not saying I don't know as in I'm doubting it. I'm just saying I haven't learned enough to make a decision toward it. I mean, I'll give you an example. I come from an Adventist denomination, the Seventh-day Adventist denomination of Protestant Christianity. I've talked about it multiple times, but in case you've never tuned in here, that might be something you might not know, or maybe you never listened to an episode where I mentioned it. And so, if you know about Adventism, there's a lady in history from the 1800s named Ellen G. White, and Ellen G. White in Adventism is considered a prophet traditionally. Like, you don't have to believe that she's a prophet. Like, you could probably still call yourself an Adventist. You could definitely call yourself a Christian if you don't believe in her. You don't have to read her stuff or, like, pay much attention to it. Like, it's not a deal breaker necessarily, but she was kind of part of the early foundings of the denomination. And so, I kind of have that kind of I guess question about her too, because the way I was explained why she's a prophet, I'm not gonna get into it, but if I don't know, like, when you're raised through a certain school in a certain church that's like from a certain denomination of Christianity, you're taught things. And so it's like I was taught things about her and just the generals of like why people believe that she's a prophet. It's not like with Joseph Smith, how you kind of have to believe in him to be Mormon, or with Islam, how you have to believe in Muhammad to be a Muslim. Like with Adventism, a lot of people kind of question Ellen G. White. You could just have the Bible itself and still be Adventist. I don't think you have to have Ellen G. White involved. A lot of her writings are interesting though. Like, I like them kind of, most of the ones I've read. I haven't read a lot of them. Like, there's a whole app, EGW, Ellen G. White, for free. At least it was last time I saw it. It's free online, and you can get, I don't know if it's all or the majority of her writings just for free on an app of all the books and pamphlets and different things she wrote. And then there's some question of, did she really write them? I mean, who knows? I don't know. But it's not primary to the Bible. It's not to be taken before the Bible. And so, you know, even though Adventists teach about it a little bit and it's part of the history of the church, you could kind of take it or leave it. And that's kind of how, like, I don't think it really matters too much. It's interesting stuff. I mean, she has a lot of stuff to say about health and and just interesting kind of topics, but some of them are interesting, some of them aren't to me. And then so yeah, like, that's a different kind of prophet. She doesn't have like a Bible standard of book. Like, the Quran is like a Bible standard. Like, the Torah is like a standard, like, religious text. Ellen G. White's writings are not like a standard text where it's like, you must believe in this. It's supplementary, I guess you would say. But I don't know. People say she's a prophet. There are prophets that are like bigger, have like a bigger standing than others. I always learned about major prophets and minor prophets. I don't really remember the details to that, but anyways, that's kind of my outlook on Muhammad. With limited study, like, he could be a prophet. I don't know, because I don't know enough. And I can't, like, how can you say if somebody's a prophet or not if you've never studied, in detail? Because you have to kind of like compare what they're saying, and like, it has to be like tried and tested. It's not just like, oh, somebody says somebody's a prophet and you just like believe it, because false prophets exist too. So, and so, okay, I guess one thing that I do want to talk about that's interesting about Ramadan, kind of something it brought up today, in addition to that I was a little surprised at how the prayers weren't always just like so easy just to pop out of what I was doing, or just how it just like takes my attention out of what I'm doing in a different way, because I'm used to like checking my phone, checking my text, checking apps and stuff. That usually takes my attention. Not so much like, oh, I need to like take attention away from what I'm doing to like pray. Usually that's not the case. Usually there's probably almost no time at which prayer is an inconvenience to me or a disruption to me. Usually it's like, if I am gonna pray, I'm fitting it in when I feel like it, when I'm, in like the mood to do it, or in the spirit to do it, or, trying to practice it. But it's never like I'm literally in the middle of something like, oh, time to pray, Usually it's like, okay, it's night. I have the most time before I'm going to go to sleep, because I'm like laying there with my eyes closed. It's like, okay, let's see if I pray. Or like first thing in the morning before I get things going. And if I'm not running late for anything at all, usually I'm not these days, but, because I'm up so early. But usually, not today, but usually. But usually when I'm getting my day going early, I do podcasting in the morning, like you guys might know. But I don't know if I often pray. Like, usually if I'm going to be praying, it's going to be at night before I go to sleep. It's not going to interfere with anything else. It's never going to interfere, like, like there was a time today where I was like, what time is it? I remember I was like, what time is it? Okay, I'm gonna go and, put something away in this other room and go take a bathroom break. So I'll be a little bit early for when the prayer time comes. I won't have to do that little moving around. I'll be right there when the alarm goes off, and then I can just start doing it. And I was kind of conscious of the time coming up versus a lot of the other times. And guys, I'm talking a 2-day period of 5 possible prayer times, according to what I learned about 5 prayer times. And I might be wrong. Maybe there are more prayer times on these days, but the 29th and 30th day of Ramadan, maybe there are more prayer times, but I stuck to 5 because I was like, I'm so basic and I'm not Muslim and I'm doing this thing, this I don't know if saying experience or experiment is bad, but I just wanted to have some of the experience, and it is already out of my comfort zone. I didn't get to finish reading the Quran. That was within my comfort zone, though, was trying to read the Quran. Trying to fast in any form was not within my comfort zone, and trying to pray 5 times a day at certain times spread out is not within my comfort zone. But I was like, let's try it, but from there, talking about these dreams, like for a while now, I've been writing down my dreams, and I've been sharing them with somebody, and not all of them, not all the time, because I dream a lot. I have a lot of nights I'm dreaming like 2 or 3 dreams every night, and I don't even write them down all the time because I'm like, every time I wake up, usually I've been waking up, I've been having such bad sleep, and I've been waking up 2-3 times every night. A lot of nights, maybe 1, but 2 to 3, a lot of nights. And I would have time to write down every single dream, but a lot of times I'm like, let me just go back to bed, if I can go back to bed, so I don't have a night like last night, which happens on occasion, where I'm up to like whatever times. And so a lot of the themes in my dreams coming up were the other person mentioned it, like that food comes up a lot in my dreams, and it's been coming up since even like last week. It was coming up in my dreams a lot, and this has been for like a long time now, like since at least maybe December or February I started writing down my dreams. It's been multiple months by this point. And like I said, I stopped even writing a lot of them down because it's like there's so many that I just got tired of writing them. But I did notice, there's this theme of like food. And we were trying to like decipher, why does this keep coming up? And I'm like, and it's kind of weird because 2023 was the year that I started taking more care of my health. I started exercising more routinely. I started paying attention more to what I eat and the times that I eat and the schedule that I keep with my sleeping and everything. And compared to my balance in the years before, my lifestyle was significantly more balanced since at least June of 2023. And so, like, that's when I got into my healthcare programs and everything. And so everything has been looking up slowly but surely. So why would themes of food keep coming up? Because it's not like I'm not eating. It's not like I'm always eating unhealthy. It's not like I'm depriving myself. Nothing. And today I got to thinking, maybe participating somewhat or having this experience with fasting and praying, even though I wasn't good at it, I have nothing to brag about. I've found nothing but shortcomings, and I don't know if it worries me, but it kind of does, because I'm like, oh, I thought I had everything kind of on track. But when it comes to fasting and praying, I'm like, I, don't really have any real discipline around this. And it's not like I don't value it, but I have like no discipline around these areas in my life. And I have a whole entire podcast where I'm always on here talking about different religious topics and spirituality topics and stuff. Like, of course, you guys know I'm not trying to guide people to do anything. I'm never saying do this, do that. You have to do it this way. You have to take this supplement. You have to sleep like this and pray like that and read this book and be this religion. I'm never saying any of that. I'm just talking about it because it's something that just naturally interests me. Even if I wasn't sharing it on here, I'd be just geeking out on it on my own free time, just reading through stuff anyways and learning about it online anyways. So I was like, well, why don't I just open up a space to like at least like share some ideas surrounding it, because other people are into it too, by the amount of people that seem to tune in from time to time. It's like at least people seem to like hearing about it, so I like talking about it, and other people like hearing about it. And I one thing that has been missing, other than like challenging my mind to like learn about different religions, like the learning is comfortable for me. I'm comfortable with ideas that I don't know or haven't ever learned about, and just give me a book or like a lecture and I'll sit and go through it, at least somewhat, and it's like challenge my brain. Okay, like I'm comfortable there. But the second you tell me to like pray like this or fast like that, it's like, oh, there's other stuff that's like practices that are really not that easy for me. And it's like, I'm like a fish out of water. I'm like, this isn't, I guess these kind of, these practices of this connecting intimacy to God, it's not like a connection to a religion or a prophet or my family or anything. Like, you don't fast, maybe you fast for somebody's illness, but you don't fast like that. You don't fast in that way. You don't fast, for anybody, but, for a spiritual reason. And you don't pray other than for a spiritual reason. And so, the learning side of anything of a spiritual practice for me is, I'm not saying I do it diligently or all day or every day, but if you tell me to read like the Parsha or study Talmud or something like that, I'll eventually get into it and be able to do it from time to time at least. But even as someone who grew up Christian, I can't say I pray every day. I can't say I pray before every meal. I can't say that. I think about it. I'd say that there might not be a lot of days that I don't think about praying. There might not be that many days where it doesn't cross my mind. I just don't necessarily do it. So maybe all these food dreams kind of had to do with this experience, like leading me to this, because I do think it's also just noteworthy. Just, it's gonna go down in my memory of the weird thing that happened with the microwave and the fridge the day that I was gonna be starting the fast. that's the day that I noticed. Maybe it happened the night before, but I didn't know that. I don't know. It either happened the night before, right after I used it, and before I made the decision to try it. So it either happened at the earliest, maybe 5 hours before I made the decision, all the way to anywhere until like early Monday morning when I was actually in the kitchen. Anywhere during that time frame. And so like near sunrise of Monday morning, near sunrise. I don't remember the exact time I was in the kitchen, but near sunrise approximately. And so either after sunrise or before. I don't even remember if it was after or before, but sometime within that time frame of making the decision to experience this. And so is it relevant? I don't know. It might not be. Like I said, I'm not like a fortune teller or anything, so I wouldn't know. But it's hard for me to believe that none of this stuff is connected to anything and that it's all coincidence. I mean, I don't have a way of proving that, but just like the story that I told before about when I was younger and, I was sarcastic and asked my youth pastor or collegiate pastor when we had tickets to go to this like Halloween event, and I was kind of like being like sarcastic and like, well, if God thinks it's such a big deal, why don't we pray about it? And then there was an earthquake that night, and then we went to church the next day, and a lot of us felt it, including me, the youth pastor, my brother, some of the other people, and we ended up not going to that Halloween event. Things like that is like, okay, we live in LA, there are earthquakes, but is it related to the prayer? Because we asked for some kind of a sign. And then, I decide to, try and partake in this fasting related experience. And there happens to be something right in front of my face the first day that's related to the food. It wasn't like some weird thing like the garage door is stuck or the car wouldn't start or, my key suddenly was like in the door. It wasn't like some weird thing like that. It was directly related to the food. It was like microwave, refrigerator. And they weren't even technically broken. Like, we have options for both of them. Everything's fixed with the fridge. It was a circuit breaker issue. And we have a spare microwave that we still haven't set up yet. But we have a spare microwave. So it's not like we were even like put in a bad situation because of it. That's why it's even weirder. It's not like anything was like fully broken to a point where we didn't have an option and now it's like a financial burden or whatever. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about with my experiences, the dreams, the interesting appliance situation, and just kind of that experience with the experiences with praying and fasting. I've never had those experiences, and 2 days of it was a lot. It gave me plenty to think about, even though I wasn't able to fully do it exactly like the tradition for multiple reasons, but I did some of it for some of the time, and it was worth it. Now it looks like there's about 5 minutes until the last prayer, and so I'm gonna get off of here and do a little bathroom break so I can be on time for that. And then with that, hope you guys had a happy Ramadan and happy Eid, and thanks for listening.
man.